The global cost of agricultural degradation and the Pqnk restoration dividend. Welcome to this presentation on one of the most urgent and transformative issues of our time, the global cost of agricultural degradation, and the enormous restoration dividend unlocked by the Pqnk system. For decades, our food production has damaged the very operating system of the earth, our soil, our water cycles, our biodiversity, and our climate. The result is declining productivity, collapsing ecosystems, and rising economic losses. But there is another path. Pqnk, the Pristine Organic Farming System, shows us that regeneration is not only possible, it is profitable. By restoring living soils, reviving biodiversity, and rebuilding natural cycles, Pqnk reactivates the original operating system of the planet. This presentation reveals the true economic and ecological consequences of degradation. And the extraordinary dividend we gain when we shift to Pqnk and let nature do what it has done for over 400 million years. Executive Summary. The global agricultural system is not merely unsustainable, it is actively degenerative, incurring $1.9 trillion in hidden annual costs through soil loss, water depletion, biodiversity collapse, and diet-related disease. For decades, proposed solutions, from conservation agriculture to regenerative farming, have failed to achieve systemic change because each addresses only symptoms, not root causes. This paper presents a stark financial and ecological diagnosis, followed by the first complete system solution, the Pristine Organic Farming System, Pqnk. Unlike partial approaches, Pqnk is a farmer-proven, universally applicable operating system that restores all 7 fundamentals of soil health simultaneously, delivering measurable regeneration within a single cropping season. We quantify the Pqnk restoration dividend, a $2.8 trillion annual global benefit through restored productivity, eliminated input dependency, revitalized water cycles, and prevented healthcare costs. The net transformation potential is $4.7 trillion per year. This document outlines the universal principles and economic logic of this transformation. Specific national implementation pathways, budgets, and timelines are available upon request to interested governments and institutions. This slide illustrates a simple but powerful truth: the way we use our land determines the health of our planet and our economies. On the left, we see the global cost of degenerative agriculture, $1.9 trillion lost every year. Cracked soil and erosion lead to land degradation. Water scarcity worsens as the water cycle collapses. Public health declines, and biodiversity, including pollinators, disappears. All of these losses compound, creating an enormous economic and ecological burden. On the right, we see the alternative, the Pqnk regenerative model, delivering a $2.8 trillion dividend. Healthy soils restore themselves through living roots and biological activity. The water cycle rises again, bringing resilience and abundance. People become healthier with nutrient-dense food. Biodiversity and pollinators thrive, returning life to the landscape. This is the economics of land use. Degeneration drains our future. Regeneration multiplies our wealth. By investing in Earth through Pqnk, we transition from a world of loss to a world of renewal and prosperity. The global diagnosis, the costs we are all paying. Soil bankruptcy, the foundation washed away. Annual topsoil loss, 24 billion tons, FAO. Degraded land, 33% of global soil is moderately to highly degraded. Economic cost, $400 billion/year in lost productivity, unkeyed. The hidden debt, industrial agriculture has mined soil carbon, creating a 133 billion ton carbon debt since the pre-industrial era, IPCC. Water collapse, irrigation as extraction. Agriculture's share, 70% of global freshwater withdrawals. Aquifer depletion, 21 of the world's 37 largest aquifers are being drained faster than they recharge, NASA Grace. Economic and social cost. Water scarcity and pollution from agricultural runoff cost an estimated $300 billion/year, World Bank. The nutrition crisis, empty calories, full hospitals. Nutrient decline, documented 20 to 75% reductions in micronutrients in staple crops since the mid-20th century, Davis et al., 2004, multiple subsequent studies. Health impact, diet-related diseases, cardiovascular, diabetes, micronutrient deficiencies, now represent the world's greatest burden of disease. Economic cost, $1.20 trillion/year in direct healthcare costs alone, with far greater losses in productivity and human potential, WHO, World Economic Forum. Biodiversity extinction, silencing the ecosystem. Agricultural driver, 80% of threatened terrestrial species are impacted by agriculture, IPS. Pollinator crisis, 40% of insect pollinator species are at risk, threatening 75% of food crops. Unquantified liability, the loss of genetic diversity, pest regulators, and soil engineers represents an incalculable systemic risk to food security. The climate feedback loop, agriculture as accelerant. Total share, 24% of global greenhouse gas emissions, IPCC. The broken cycle, conventional practices transform land from a carbon sink to a major source of CO2, N2O, and CH4. Amplifying costs, climate instability increases drought, flood, and pest pressures, further raising production costs and risks. Cumulative annual cost of degenerative agriculture, greater than $1.9 trillion. This is a conservative estimate excluding long-term liabilities like permanent aquifer loss and biodiversity extinction. For decades, we've been told that incremental change in agriculture is enough. That if we just use a little less chemical, or do a little less tillage, we can fix the system. But this table reveals the fatal flaw in that thinking. It shows that our current alternatives, from industrial agriculture to so-called regenerative farming, are only partial solutions trying to fix a complete system's failure. Look at the 7 fundamentals of a healthy soil ecosystem listed on the left. 1. Hardpan elimination. The compacted layer that suffocates roots and blocks water. Industrial agriculture creates it. The others simply ignore it. Only Pqnk makes shattering it the mandatory first step. 2. No soil inundation. Flood irrigation drowns soil life. Most systems still use it. Only Pqnk's permanent raised beds eliminate it completely. 3, 4, 5. Absolute no-till, permanent mulch cover, and controlled traffic. These are the principles of protecting soil structure. Other systems are inconsistent, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Pqnk makes them non-negotiable and permanent. 6 and 7, designed biodiversity and a restored natural water cycle. These are the outcomes of a functioning ecosystem. Other systems aim for them. Pqnk is engineered to deliver them. Now, look at the bottom rows. The economic truth. Input dependency. Industrial and conservation agriculture are locked into high chemical use. Organic farming often relies on purchased organic inputs. Pqnk operates on a closed loop. After the first season, the only input is the seed. The scaling timeline. This is the most critical difference. Every other model requires years, even decades, to show measurable soil recovery. Their change is slow, costly, and hard for a farmer to believe in. Pqnk delivers measurable regeneration within the first cropping season. This is not a comparison of similar things. It is a demonstration that Pqnk exists in a different category altogether. It is not a set of practices to adopt. It is a complete operating system to restore. The question is no longer how do we tweak a broken model? The evidence asks, why would we settle for anything less than the complete solution? This slide compares three agricultural systems, industrial, regenerative, and Pqnk, across 6 critical performance areas. Let's look at the results. Industrial farming scores only 1 star in every category, representing basic capability at best. It is fundamentally degenerative. Regenerative agriculture scores 3 stars across the board, moderate capability. It's an improvement, but still an incomplete system. Pqnk, however, scores 5 stars in every category, full capability. It is the only system designed to restore soil health, conserve water, support biodiversity, regenerate quickly, stabilize yields, and sequester carbon, all at once. The takeaway is clear: Pqnk is not just another alternative, it is the only complete operating system for true regeneration. Analysis of failure. Conservation agriculture maintains herbicide dependency and rarely addresses subsoil compaction, hardpan, limiting root depth and water resilience. Organic certification focuses on input prohibition rather than system restoration, often relying on tillage for weed control, which destroys soil structure. Regenerative agriculture, a valuable umbrella concept but lacks standardized, measurable protocols and a mechanism for rapid, large-scale farmer adoption. Common flaw: all are partial solutions attempting to fix a complete system's failure. Introducing the Pqnk Universal 8-Step Transformation Protocol, a holistic framework for regenerating soil and building a sustainable agricultural future. At its core, the protocol begins with precision planting and land leveling to create the perfect foundation. From there, we actively regenerate. Thermal mulching protects the soil, while root retention and biological drilling, using plants themselves, rebuild organic matter and naturally fracture compacted layers. We then address critical barriers: hardpan shatter breaks up subsoil compaction, and chemistry correction balances the soil's nutrients. Finally, we lock in the gains by establishing permanent beds, minimizing future disturbance. The result? A virtuous cycle of healthy soil and plant growth, transforming land, and our approach to cultivation. The Pqnk Protocol. Building the foundation, from the ground up. Pqnk is not another practice to add to a degenerative system. It is the restoration of the ecological operating system through which soil, water, and life co-evolved. Its principles are universal, its application is adaptable to any agroecological zone. The Universal 8-Step Transformation Protocol. Derived from farmer-led innovation across continents, this protocol systematically restores all 7 soil health fundamentals. 1. Land preparation, precision leveling to manage water. 2. Hardpan shattering, subsoiling to restore vertical water and root movement. 3. Chemistry correction, rapid amendment of saline or alkaline soils. 4. Permanent raised beds, creating permanent infrastructure that separates growing zones from compaction zones and eliminates flood irrigation. 5. Biological drilling, deep-rooted pioneer plants naturally fracture subsoil. 6. Root retention, 50% of plant biomass, roots, is left to feed soil life. 7. Thermal mulching, above-ground biomass regulates soil temperature, reduces by 30 degrees Celsius plus, absorbs dew, and retains moisture. 8. Precision no-till planting, using specialized planters, SIP/VIP, to establish crops without disturbing the restored soil ecosystem. Outcome: a closed-loop, input-free system where fertility and water are managed by the revived soil biology, making 400 mm of annual rainfall sufficient for all crops. The core innovations. 1. Microbial nutrient economy shifts focus from supplying nutrients to cultivating the soil microbial community that liberates and cycles nutrients from the soil's inherent mineral bank. 2. Natural irrigation system harnesses the full hydrological cycle, infiltration, capillary action, dew, and humidity, making agriculture water positive. 3. Speed of regeneration delivers measurable improvements in soil organic matter, infiltration, and biodiversity within the first cropping season. This slide presents the global economic impact and benefit analysis of the Pqnk program. Across every region of the world, from South Asia to East Asia, Latin America, Africa, Europe, and North America, the numbers tell the same story. The benefits of adopting Pqnk far outweigh the costs. In South Asia, an investment of $125 billion generates $200 billion in benefits. East Asia shows even stronger results, a cost of $350 billion returns $550 billion in value. Latin America gains $430 billion from an investment of $265 billion, while Africa realizes $300 billion in benefits from only $180 billion spent. Europe and North America follow the same trajectory. Europe receives $600 billion in benefits from $410 billion invested, and North America achieves $720 billion in returns from $480 billion in costs. When we combine all regions, the global picture becomes clear. Pqnk delivers $2.8 trillion in benefits against $1.9 trillion in costs, resulting in a net global gain of $900 billion. In simple terms, Pqnk does not merely pay for itself, it builds economic resilience, restores ecological health, and strengthens communities. Pqnk transforms agriculture into a regenerative, profitable, and sustainable system for the entire planet. Note: benefits include direct agricultural profits, averted healthcare costs, import substitution, and monetized ecosystem services, carbon, water, biodiversity. Figures are estimates based on synthesis of FAO, World Bank, WHO, and academic data. 3.4 The Universal Economic Model, True Cost Accounting. The Pqnk model makes economic sense only when using true cost accounting, TCA. TCA reveals that conventional farming often has a net loss when soil depreciation, water depletion, pollution, and health externalities are included. Pqnk flips the equation, it builds natural capital, soil, water, biodiversity, as its primary economic output, making the restoration dividend an inherent feature of its profitability. Part 4, The Path Forward, From Diagnosis to Action. The evidence is conclusive. The continued operation of the degenerative agricultural system is a direct economic and existential threat. The Pqnk framework provides a complete, proven, and universally applicable alternative. 4.1 The required consensus. Scientific, accept that partial solutions have failed and that only a complete systems approach can reverse degradation. Economic, adopt true cost accounting as the mandatory framework for evaluating agricultural policy and subsidies. Political, recognize food sovereignty and water security as non-negotiable pillars of national security. Universal policy principles. Subsidy shift, redirect public support from degenerative inputs, chemicals, tillage, to regenerative infrastructure, subsoilers, raised bed formers, no-till planters. Ecosystem service markets, create transparent markets for soil carbon, water recharge, and biodiversity credits. Procurement power, leverage public and corporate procurement to create demand for regeneratively produced, nutrient-dense food. A call for leadership. This transition requires courage to break from 10,000 years of degenerative logic. The First Nations and institutions to embrace this system's transformation will secure food and water sovereignty, economic resilience from input price shocks, climate leadership through genuine carbon drawdown, a legacy of restoration for future generations. Glimpses of application. Brief case summaries demonstrating universal applicability. Pakistan's water crisis. Pqnk protocol reduces crop water demand by 80%, making 400 mm rainfall sufficient and reversing aquifer depletion. U.S. Midwest soil crisis. Pqnk rebuilds topsoil and organic matter within seasons, restoring profitability without subsidies. India's input dependency. Pqnk's closed-loop system eliminates the need for synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, reversing farmer debt. Australia's salinity and drought. Permanent beds and mulch regulate temperature and moisture, reversing salinity and providing drought resilience. Detailed, country-specific implementation analyses, including phased timelines, budgetary requirements, and institutional restructuring pathways, are available upon request. Contact for country-specific proposals. Governments, international organizations, and philanthropic institutions interested in developing a detailed implementation strategy for their context are invited to contact the Pqnk Research Collective. Any production process that inundates soil with water, disturbs soil through tillage, or leaves soil bare without organic mulch cover does not qualify as natural ecosystem science for production agriculture, Pqnk. Pqnk, to be pronounced as Pqnk, which stands for Paedar Qudratti Nizam Kashatqari, and means, the regenerative and sustainable pristine organic farming system. This document is based on the synthesis of farmer-led research across hundreds of thousands of acres and peer-reviewed ecological and economic data. It is intended to catalyze a global conversation on the necessary complete systems transformation of agriculture.